What's the best city you've visited in the US? After traveling the country extensively 100k domestic flying miles each year for work over the past 12 years, I've broken my favorites into a few categories, no particular order until the very end. Best food: KC, Seattle, NYC, San Diego. Shout out Sushi Deli. 3 best value price ratio of any restaurant in the country: emo, Vegas, but I really hate Vegas. Chicago, Philly also need a shout out. Atmosphere: KC, Minneapolis, San Diego, NYC, Boston. Fun stuff to do: NY, Seattle, NYC. Overall: 1 San Diego, 2 Seattle, 3 NYC, 4 KC, 5 time Minneapolis, DC, Philly, Chicago. 6 any major Texas city: Boston. Best? Probably not. But Hot Springs, Arkansas is probably most unique and interesting place I've been to in the US. It was incredibly foggy driving in and reminds me of the opening scenes from the Silent Hill movie. I went to a wax museum and a bathhouse. I stayed in some old hotel where I was expecting to walk out the door and see 2 girls in blue dresses down the hallway. It's such a strange place and feels like an abandoned resort town from the 30s 50s that is still enjoyable to spend time in. I've traveled almost everywhere in the lower 48 for work. I am from Kansas City, love Kansas City, KC is my answer. But I'm a sucker for a great downtown park. Love downtown St. Pete, really enjoyed wandering the riverfront in Columbus, Ohio. Plaza Cesar Chavez in San Jose can also be really nice when the weather is right. I grew up kicking a ball around Barney Allen's Plaza in KC before downtown was revitalized. It was like we had the whole city to ourselves after 6 p.m. every day. Not a city, but a small slice of paradise. We crossed from Canada with the ultimate destination of Napa Valley. Along the way, we crossed a bridge in I think Shasta Lake Trinity Forest. That small stretch was breathtaking. Similar experience approaching Bend, Oregon. It wasn't the cities that impressed me but the natural landscape slices. And I live in the Canadian Rockies. Anyway, those 2 stretches of road remain etched in my soul. Glenwood Springs, CO. The Glenwood Hot Springs are there, and it's amazing to go soak. There's an awesome pizza place there. The whole town is in the mountains, so it's picturesque. The locals are friendly, but the tourists are kinda dicks. There's a ton of hiking and camping places nearby. If I could retire anywhere, it would be Glenwood Springs. We visit Vegas almost once a year. But excluding that, my wife and I had a fucking blast in Cleveland. We had more fun than we ever thought we'd have going there. People were great, restaurants were great, brewery was great. There wasn't a Browns game or we would have checked it out, but amazing time all around. We also liked Detroit, Sumi. Honestly, the best cities I've been in were small towns, most but not all of them coastal. If I had to pick a big city, I think I'd say Boston 1980 or Washington DC 1975, 1985. Austin 2001 was pretty cool too. 808, wait, how did I forget fucking Fort Lauderdale? 2008, 2013, more fun than I've ever had. New Orleans. Haven't been there since I was kid, over 20 years, and have been to many cities since then, but it left a mark on me. I loved it and hope go again soon. Those Creole accents, the people, the buildings, the culture, it was just awesome. Also, Cajun food is just like nothing I've ever experienced in the world. Tucson, Arizona is amazing. Went hiking every day during the week we were there. Most beautiful sunset I've ever seen at Gates Pass. And the food. The food. Amazing, hole-in-the-wall joints are peppered around. Just need to find them. Oh yeah, a great bunch of little shops and bars on 4th Street as well. Love that city. Indianapolis is the best non-outdoorsy downtown city to visit. Jackson Hole and Sedona are tied for outdoorsy. Boise is the cleanest city I've ever been to. San Diego has the best weather. Best coastal town was Bend in Oregon. Best lakeside town was Glen Arbor. Best beach town was Honolulu. I absolutely fell in love with PDX, so much greenery and flowers everywhere you go. It's a plant-based vegan paradise. The PNW summer sky is a different kind of blue than over here in the southeast. Very walkable and e-bikes galore. So much art and color. I really fell in love. I really enjoy Detroit much more than I thought I would. Growing up on the East Coast, all you're told is how dangerous the city is. Sure, there's parts you don't want to be, but Detroit has a killer downtown and a lot of the bad areas are more empty than dangerous. City: Chicago. Great food. LAKKA Ocean right next to downtown. Super chill. Town Steamboat Springs winter or summer. Strawberry Hot Springs. Lake near. Great hiking and skiing. Still feels pretty western and cowboy, but that's slowly changing. Washington, D.C. is incredible if you like educational adventures. There is no larger concentration of available learning experiences in the US than the museums and federal buildings. Plus the subways are clean, the city is clean, and the food's great. NYC, the city is alive. It's like a living thing. I love that a car isn't required to get to most places. I love that you have such easy access to things that are culturally important. I just wish I could afford to live there. Nashville was amazing. I'm not country and I don't listen to country. I was passing through overnight for work with my coworkers and I hit Broadway. It was unbelievable. Lots of pretty buildings too. Asheville is also very cool. There are 6 cities in the US that have an underlying energy of uniqueness burning throughout them wherever you go. They are unapologetically themselves. San Francisco, Chicago, Boston, New York City, Miami, New Orleans, Seattle. No idea if it's really seen as a hot destination, but I saw a lot of cool things like Bruce Lee's grave, the Space Needle, the first Starbucks. It was also pretty clean, except for that disgusting gum wall. Charleston, South Carolina. Everyone's polite. I want to say Greenville, South Carolina too, but I always get the feeling that people there will say nice things to your face and then immediately talk shit about you behind your back. Totally depends on what you mean by best. I'm a geocacher and I visited 46 of 50 US states plus DC, including almost every major metro and most state capitals. I think my favorite has been Asheville, North Carolina. I visited Kansas City this summer, did a tour of MLB games and absolutely loved it. The people were friendly, the food was amazing, lots of museums and things to see. Just an all-around cool vibe. Denver was pretty nice. Stayed a couple days on a cross-country road trip when our car broke down on a weekend and couldn't be fixed until Monday. There's a lot of worse places to be stranded. NYC. It's been almost 8 years since I visited, but I still dream about it. Coming from a South Asian country, I was awestruck by the whole place, walking in the canyons of its huge skyscrapers. Alright, I see in the comments you people don't know what a city is. A city is a metro population greater than 100k. If it's not that, then it's not a city. X200B. My answer is San Diego. Crested Butte, Colorado during a random weekend in May. Town was so quiet and peaceful. Cannot wait to go back one day, although I've heard it's full of tourists most of the year. Oh, this is hard. Probably Philadelphia, or at least the streets between Rittenhouse Square to Old Town. Also on that list is Clearwater Beach, but not Clearwater in Carlsbad, CA. New York, New York. Lots of lovely places all over the country, wonderful for different reasons. But everyone should see NYC at least once in their lifetime. Albuquerque. Awesome, beautiful city with an interesting balance of poverty and the smartest people in the whole damn country. I think it has a bright future. Canadian here, been to 12 states, most multiple times. Here's my faves: NYC, Sedona, Seattle, Miami Beach. Pleasant surprises: Kansas City, Missouri, Palm Springs. Manhattan is a really fun place to visit, with tons of things to do any time of day. Tough to live there, though. Super expensive and always busy. It is weird for me, but I really enjoyed Morro Bay, California. It is just a small town, but I liked it. I am not from the USBTW. Frederick, Maryland is the best I lived in. Tucson is awesome, and Omaha is underrated. I also think Seattle is pretty cool. Lot of best, but I find myself missing Gloucester, MA and surrounding area in the summertime. Greasy pole, seagull shit and all. Best city: Washington, D.C. Worst city: Washington, D.C. As with many big cities, it's all about what part of town you're in. Salt Lake City, Utah and the surrounding areas. The salt flats and the mountains. It felt like I landed on Mars. Truly scenic. Seattle, it was a perfect, sunny day. I don't think I will ever go back because there's no way it will live up to that day. Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Think Santa Fe but more concentrated down and physically smaller. And in the hilly woods of NWR. Maybe not my favorite, but I gotta put out some love to Kalispell, Montana. Fuck all to do there, but my god it's pretty. Omaha, it was a fantastic city to visit. Great zoo, amazing downtown park, minimal traffic and friendly people. Portland, Seattle, and Austin were all fun. Wish I could visit all the cities to have some more perspective. Astoria, Oregon. I love a tourist town that makes it clear that they don't give a shit about the tourists. Washington, D.C. The entire city felt like a well-kept museum and there was so much to see and do. I go to Detroit at least once a month, though the largest city I've ever been to would be Chicago. I don't want to spoil it for everyone who lives there, but it's in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I enjoyed Chicago. The areas I went, everyone was so nice and helpful. I never felt unsafe. Memphis, Tennessee, of course. Come to try the barbecue. Stay because we stole your car. For a couple, Carmel. For a bachelor party, New Orleans. For the PK80, Portland. St. Pete Beach, Florida. Would move there in a heartbeat if I wanted to move to the US. New Orleans. Love the music scene, the history, the French Quarter, and the food. Seattle, and it isn't close. I spent 4 months there and it was a solid experience. I've had great days in San Francisco, New Orleans, and NYC. NYC wins though. As someone who travels for a living, I love San Diego, Boise, Phoenix and DC. If you're going to San Francisco, you're gonna meet some gentle people there. Traverse City, Michigan. Charlevoix is also beautiful, but more touristy. St. Augustine, Florida, been there a number of times. It is so pretty. To party, Nashville. To relax and chill out, Cumming, Georgia. Boise, Idaho. I loved it so much I moved here. In Moab, Utah. It gets a lot of hate, but Detroit. Complete 180 from Philly. Traverse City will always have a special place in my heart. Oklahoma City. Great nightlife. Food. Sports. Affordable. So many good ones here already, but I'll add Flagstaff, Oz.